Hey travelers, Mag and I here on day 100 of our trip around the United States. That's right, 100 days. And today we wanted to make sure, like all geocachers do, that we do something special for our milestone. So we've got a 400-mile day today, but we're going to be going through a lot of counties and pages we already have. So we're going to be flying through the miles, and we're going to make it as quickly as we can into the Badlands. We're only going to the very eastern edge of it, but we should get to see some neat stuff even where we are, because the Badlands always delivers on fantastic things. We're very excited for what today has in store, so come on, let's go check it out together. The terrain in the southern portion of South Dakota has leveled out a bit from what we were seeing before. It's still rolling green hills, but they're not as steep as they were previously. It's always nice to have something to find along the way to help break up the miles. And this looks like a good one. Oh yeah, look at that. Ooh boy. Although there are not many geocaches along our route, sometimes only one or two available for the entire county, the ones that we did find were actually pretty good. I haven't seen a container like this before, which leads me to believe that it's 3D printed. It's funny, it's almost like geocaching days have flavors. Some days the flavor's no good. It's a bunch of micros, a lot of them aren't very well maintained, they're not there, but you get what you get and you get through the counties. And some days, it's like every geocache you find is a good container, filled with swag, at a good spot. You really just don't know what you're gonna get from day to day. As if it wasn't enough being able to find full-size geocaches, they also offered pretty good viewpoints as well. It's nice having a quiet field like this to search in without any muggles to distract you. There may not be much out here, but at least there's geocaches to find. When you hit the interstate, empty stretches without any signs like this are actually a rarity. Most of them are filled with ads for Walr. When you're coming up on the exit for Walr, they do not want you to miss it. All right, fine Walr, you got me. You win. I've been seeing your signs for 160 miles now, telling me I have to stop into Walr. It's gonna be a great time, I'm gonna enjoy it. I've already been to Walr, but we might as well go have another look. And maybe grab a slice of pie. As tourist destinations go, Walr is a very original concept. They started growing by offering free ice water to travelers, and since then have put billboards up for hundreds of miles in every direction. New since our previous visit, we were ecstatic to discover the world's largest jackalope sculpture, which was completed in fall of 2022 by Jarrett and Jordan Dahl. As far as world's largest go, this guy really is the jack of all trades. Put simply, Walr itself is a collection of cowboy-themed stores, including a drugstore, gift shop, and several restaurants. Drawing 2 million plus visitors a year, they must be doing something right. Of course, while I appreciate what Walr has done as a business, I have very little interest in tourist traps. But you know I have a lot of interest in visiting the local veterans memorials. And just down the street from the booming collection of shops that make up Walr, I was able to find the Badlands Veterans Memorial. It's a lot simpler than many memorials we've seen, primarily consisting of the bricks of donors, but it does have a nice art area featuring different contributions to our troops. Then we were on the road once again, just a short hop outside of Walr to reach the Badlands National Park. Ooh, I can't wait! Alright, just over the next rise we'll be entering the Badlands. You can see it clearly on the map. Here we go. In the distant past, about 75 million years ago, the Earth's climate was warmer than it is now, and a shallow sea covered the region we called the Great Plains, stretching from the Gulf of Mexico to Canada, and from western Iowa to western Wyoming. The sea teemed with life. Eons passed, continental plates pushed and shoved, leading to an active period of mountain building in the Rocky Mountains. This caused the land under the sea to rise, forcing the water to retreat and drain away. In time, the area that we now call the Badlands was exposed to air and sunshine, yet it looked nothing like the landscape that we see today. The climate was humid and warm, rainfall was abundant, a dark and dense subtropical forest developed on the land. It flourished for millions of years. Eventually, though, the climate cooled and dried. The forest gave way, first to savanna, then to the grasslands much like you see today. Grasslands, also known as prairies, occur in areas that are too dry to support trees but too wet to be deserts. The Badlands National Park contains mixed grass prairie, tall grass species, prairie cordgrass, and short grasses. Hundreds of species of wildflowers and forbs grow here too. The landscape, once a forest, now contains plants and animals uniquely adapted to what appears to be harsh and unforgiving conditions. Grasses, able to withstand high winds, long spells of dry weather, and frequent fires have thrived. Grazing animals became abundant, and grasses, better suited to withstand trampling and grazings, spread and overtook the ancient forests. Many animals thrive under the protected conditions here in the park, including black-tailed prairie dogs, mule deer, bison, antelope, coyotes, and bighorn sheep. And we saw not a single one of them today, which means they're also pretty good at staying out of sight. Though seemingly inhospitable at first glance, the Badlands have supported humans for more than 11,000 years. The earliest people to come here were ancient mammoth hunters. Much later, they were followed by nomadic tribes who lived on hunting bison. Then came the Lakota, who adopted the use of horses from the Spaniards and came to dominate the region. The Lakota flourished for the next 100 years until French fur trappers supplanted them over time. Then came soldiers, miners, cattle farmers, and homesteaders who have helped to forever change the face of the prairie. Cattle replaced the bison, wheat fields replaced the prairies, and in time, gas-powered vehicles replaced the horses. The name for this national park stems from the Lakota name, which means land bad, because of the frustrating maze-like landscapes of spires, pinnacles, and hoodoos that make navigation near impossible. Ironically, it's all of these same features that made the Badlands in the first place, which now draw over 1 million visitors every year to marvel at the wonders created here. It's funny to think that a land that was once considered near inhospitable is now a major tourist attraction and helped to put a middle-of-nowhere town like Walr on the map. One of my favorite parts of the visit was the Bands of Time fossil walk. These rocks were deposited millions of years ago and only began to be revealed about 500,000 years ago when ancient rivers began eroding the area. Differences in each layer observed reveal what the climate was like when the sediments there were deposited. Within each of these banded layers are fossils of animals that once lived in the area. Each of these types of animals met a different fate as the climate changed. Some moved, some adapted to the change, and some are now extinct. As you walk the trail, you can learn their stories and discover how this place and its inhabitants have changed over the last 75 million years. For our final stop in the park, we made our way over to the Door Trail, which leads to the broken landscape that has earned the area the name the Badlands. Over time, water sliced through the earth in this area, exposing sedimentary rock layers. These layers continue to erode today into dramatic canyons and spires. Setting out on the Door Trail, you can explore these features up close by passing through a natural door at the end of the boardwalk and continuing on into the canyons below. Be careful though, it is easy to lose your bearings here and become disoriented. And when hiking through the rugged terrain, even in the winter months, bring plenty of water with you. Because it may seem like a short trip until you get turned around down there and spend way longer than planned.
It's a long crossing out here on the shattered plains. Where's Bridge 4 when you need them?
By the time we finally made it out of the Badlands, the sun was already starting to sink below the horizon once again. But when there's daylight, we're still geocaching, so we have time enough to track down at least one more. And what a change of scenery to have been through the Badlands and now back into the grasslands and even get to see some trees too. Oh, we can see it ahead in the distance, right by the base of that stump. It's a rare day indeed when we get to catch not only a fantastic sunrise, but a gorgeous sunset too. Good night, South Dakota.
All right, travelers, that brings our day number 100 on the road to a fantastic close. What an amazing time we had going through the Badlands National Park today. I am so thrilled that our route could work out well enough for us to dip in and run right around the edge of the Badlands before we started pushing east along the bottom of the state. We still have a few more counties to go from here, but once we crossed south under the Badlands, the targets became really sparse and few between. Each remaining target on our list is 1 or 2 only in the county, and long jumps between to get to the end of our day. We're going to make it just fine, but I do expect that's the end of our scenery for the day. After the Badlands, what can compare to that? Am I right? Thank you for tuning in with us today. I hope you really enjoyed getting to see one of the most beautiful parts of South Dakota. Tomorrow we'll be making our way east across the southern border of the state, and it will be our last full day in South Dakota. So hopefully we'll get some more surprises in store and a little less of what we've got right now, which is empty counties with only 1 or 2 geocaches. Like this video, subscribe to stay tuned for daily updates, and we'll see you out on the trails.